Failure sucks, right? It just hits you in the gut, makes you question everything. You feel like you're the only one who can't figure it out. Like life gave everyone else the cheat code and you're stuck on the tutorial screen. But here's the truth. Every success story you've ever heard started with failure. Let me break it down to you. So here's the problem, right? We've been taught to fear failure. From the time we're kids, it's ingrained in us. A bad grade feels like the end of the world. Losing a game feels like you're letting everyone down. And as we grow up, this fear grows too. Now, failure means losing a job, a relationship falling apart, or a dream slipping through your fingers. It feels final, like that's it, game over, there's no other options. I really can't talk about failure without giving you guys a personal example. I've really been struggling with getting enough sleep and having a really good work-life balance. I really used to think sleep was optional, something I could sacrifice to stay on top of things. Nights blurred into a routine of late emails and mindlessly scrolling. I'd convinced myself I was being productive, but most of the time, I wasn't even addressing urgent work. I was just filling the quiet with activity to avoid the stress of falling behind. What started as a few late nights snowballed into a constant cycle. Fractured sleep, early alarms, and endless coffee to power through the haze. By midday, I was spent. Simple decisions felt monumental, and my focus crumbled under the weight of unfinished tasks. I told myself I'd fix it. I'd get to bed earlier, set limits, or unplug at a reasonable time. But every night, work bled into my evenings. A quick check of emails became an hour. Notifications demanded attention. Even when I wasn't actively working, my mind churned with everything I hadn't done. I felt like I was running a race that had no finish line. One night, I sat at my desk, staring blankly at my screen. Too tired to think, yet unwilling to stop. That's when it hit me. I wasn't getting ahead. I wasn't even holding steady. I was just burning myself out. So, I tried to make a change. I set a hard stop at 8 p.m., turned off notifications, and even started keeping my phone in another room after dinner. For a while, it helped. On the nights I stuck to it, I felt calmer, lighter even. But the habits never fully stuck. Deadlines loomed, work spilled over, and before I knew it, I was back where I started. I still haven't figured it out. Balance feels like really this elusive idea, something that I'm always reaching for but never quite grabbing. Some nights, I do manage to step away, and I get a glimpse of what it might feel like to separate work and be able to sleep. But more often than not, I fall into old routines. The only thing I've learned is that this can't go on forever. Something has to change. I just don't know what it looks like yet. But failure isn't the end. It's the beginning of something better, if you learn how to use it. And the crazy thing is, the people who are most successful, the ones we look up to, they failed harder than any of us. They just didn't give up. So let me give you a few examples. Michael Jordan, who's arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time, didn't even make his high school basketball team. Imagine the embarrassment he felt. But instead of quitting, he used it. He worked harder, practiced longer, and turned that failure into fuel. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he built, Apple. Imagine being told you're not good enough for the thing that you created. He literally created Apple, grew it to where it was, and got fired. Imagine that. That could have destroyed him. But instead, he came back stronger. He reinvented Apple and literally changed the world as we know it. Or how about J.K. Rowling, rejected by 12 publishers before anyone would even look at Harry Potter? 12. 12 people told her this is not good enough, but she didn't stop. That failure turned into one of the most successful book series in history. Here's the point. Failure isn't just something to survive. It's something that makes success possible. It teaches you what you need to grow. So there's one thing about failure that most people miss. It's a teacher. When you fail, you learn two things. First, you learn what doesn't work. Second, you learn what you need to change. And every time you fail, you get a little better. If you pay attention, it humbles you, sharpens you, and teaches you resilience. Think about it this way. Failure is like lifting weights. It's uncomfortable, maybe even painful at times, but with every rep, you get stronger. You build a kind of mental muscle that other people don't have because they never push through failure. The people who succeed aren't the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who don't give up, the ones who take lessons and keep moving forward. So how do you take failure and turn it into something useful? Let me give you 3 steps. First step, own it. Don't hide from your failures. Don't blame other people. Own it. Admit it. Because only then can you learn from it. Step 2, learn about it. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I do differently next time? Failure becomes progress when you take the lesson and you apply it. Step 3, you need to keep going. This is the most important part. Failure always wins if you stop trying. The moment you get back up, you're already beating it. Because here's the truth. The people who succeed are just the ones who failed the most and refused to quit. Bottom line. So next time you fail, and you will, because we all do, remember this. Failure isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Michael Jordan failed. Steve Jobs failed. J.K. Rowling failed. And so will you. But that's okay, because every failure is a step toward success. So keep failing. Fail often. Fail forward. Learn. Grow. Get better. Because the more you fail, the closer you are to getting it right.